You get the picture. It's pretty much a moving target. What's a moving target? Color matching. And a perfect example is this tote bag. I went to 50 places in Ballard with paint and tried to color match things that I saw. And then I took that paint swatch home along with a photo, put it into Adobe InDesign, matched it as well as I could, and then tried to decide how that would work to print onto a print or a transfer that would go into a tote bag. It was an exercise in perhaps futility, but I want to show you why it is so difficult, but also fascinating. I probably don't need to tell you that color is constantly evolving and changing at any given moment, whether it's in light or shadow, or if it's a different time of day, or if it is next to one color and then another color, it appears different. And there's just no pinning color down. And that's actually one of the most wonderful, exciting parts about it. But it's also a challenge when you're trying to match it. As one of many potential examples, I tried taking 4 photos of this street tile, one in shadow, one in light, one after I cleaned it in shadow, and one in light. And then I took it to Canva and used the little eyedropper tool to pull out the main color and then separate that and then compare them with each other. And here's what I got. So here we have 4 different versions of the same exact tile. One's in the sun, one's in the shade, one's a little bit cleaner in the sun, and a little bit cleaner in the shade. So if anybody ever gives you a hard time about exactly matching something, keep in mind that this really is a moving target and it's hard to really successfully hit it. Or actually, maybe it's impossible to truly hit it, right? So we should just let that go and figure out where we should go from here, considering that basically every color in the world can be another color at any given moment. First thing, you can decide for yourself, do you want to try to match exactly what you see at the ground level, like I'm doing with this street tile? Or would you rather actually look at an entire scene and then match things in relation to each other so that you are creating a cohesive whole? One of my favorite kinds of paintings to do is one in which there is a very distinct shadow and light area falling across different colors of things, because you can create something very fun and convincing when you do that. Or more specifically, convincing enough to get your story told or to convey the emotion you're trying to convey. Also, though, I think it's important to ask ourselves, why do you want to color match at this time? Is it because you're trying to make something look realistic? Are you trying to prove something about being able to color match? Is it really going to serve your painting to have things look exactly the way they are in real life? Or perhaps you want to take some creative license sometimes. So I think it's a great skill to have, but I don't think as a painter, at least for myself, I don't feel like I should be locked into having to always color match as faithfully as possible. In fact, sometimes I feel like that really gets in my way of making an artistic statement about something. Maybe I'd rather have the color match how I feel about the thing. Actually, I do that quite a bit. Anyway, I could color match this street tile using any blue to start with, but I thought that I would do an A/B test with 2 different pigments to show that one might get us closer to the end goal from the start, and to kind of go with that one. So on the left, I have Indian Throne Blue, and on the right, I have Ultramarine Blue. And Indian Throne Blue has a little bit more of a greenish cast, and Ultramarine Blue, there on the right, has more of a violet cast. So I do a couple of tests here. As you can see, it's an extremely beautiful and vibrant color. When you scrape off most of the paint, you have this beautiful, beautiful, vibrant undertone. And then when you put the glop of paint back on, the mass tone is practically black. Anyway, all beautiful colors aside, this violet cast is probably not going to be our favorite first step to get to this tile, because compared to ultramarine, the tile is just a little bit greener. So now we will try messing around with Indian Throne and see if that might be a better starting point for our mixing. So this is Arches or Arche, however you want to pronounce it, oil paper that I've cut into strips. And even just at a glance, I can tell, oh yes, that will be a better place to start using Indian Throne. And so to be sure about it, I will then add some titanium white to get closer to the value, the lightness of this color. One thing that's tough when you're trying to find the same value between one dull color and a bright color is it's just almost like trying to compare apples and oranges. But because just by nature of being a vivid color, it seems lighter. But in this case, it actually is lighter. But you can tell almost instantaneously that this is probably not going to be a good first hue to work from, especially compared to what happens when we do this color, which is a little bit closer to the tile color. Now, I'm pretty sure that the video camera is unfortunately making these two blues a little too similar looking, but hopefully you can tell the one on the left is just slightly greener than the one on the right. Well, we knew all along that this was going to be too vivid, and we're going to need to dull down this blue. So I'm going to neutralize the blue with orange, which is a close complement to this color, because when you add two complementary colors across the color wheel, you can create different kinds of gray or just very neutralized versions of the colors. So I just add a small amount of cadmium orange to the Indian Throne blue, and I'm hoping that since it's it's not like a red orange, it's got a good amount of yellow, that we will continue to keep that green cast going on while also making it a little bit more gray. So I get pretty close, so I try a sample and I discover it's a little too light and a little too vibrant still. So I add a little bit more orange in order to try to get closer to a grayer and maybe slightly greener version of this hue, but we're getting close. So as you can see, it's a pretty subtle difference, but it makes some difference. And to be honest, we could have gotten even closer here, and I had to go home to dinner. Duty called. So that concludes the color matching for the day. But I hope to return to these street tiles and get an exact color match and just be a total superhero. And a color matching superhero. Yeah. This is how we fight crime.